This is going to be fun. Hello again YouTube, and welcome back to the Pain Cave, where the Greyhound has a new home, taking pride of place on the wall alongside my treadmill here. So I can look at it whilst I'm run, I can look at it on the watt bike, and other people can look at it when they're in the garden, and I think that makes everybody's life better. Anyway, you might notice something odd about the setup here. In that, I've currently got the 88 carbon Super Team on the front there, and I've got one of the dodgy old American Classic 58 carbons on the back here. These are the wheels that I bought from Marketplace that are cracked, that prompted the purchase of the Super Teams. And it might surprise you to know that I have literally today raced this bike in a triathlon with this setup. And you might reasonably ask yourself, why on earth would you do that? Let me show you. So here is the 88 rear, which should have been on the bike when I raced it today. And can you spot what's missing from this picture? Anyone spot it? There's no valve, is there? Because where do you think the valve is? There, in the rim. Okay, so there I was in the car park, getting set up, feeling like an absolute professional with my bike stand and all my tools out, getting the bike fettled, and I thought to myself, I'll just check the rear tyre pressure. So I clamped my valve, my track pump onto it, and merrily pumped away, and then noticed that the valve extender was loose, so I tried to do it up. But all that did was let some air out of the inner tube, and it was clear at this point the ropey AliExpress valve extenders that came with these wheels as standard, this one had decided to depart the valve. So I made a call there and then to deflate the tyre, take the tyre off, and just put an inner tube in with my better quality Schwalbe valve extenders on there. And I made the mistake of trying to use the valve extender to deflate what was left in the inner tube. And whilst I was doing that, cack-handedly, I dropped it into the rim. So, this is going to be fun. So, plan is 3 stages. Try and get the tube deflated without doing damage to the tyre. Get the tyre off, and then fish the valve extender out. And then set it all up with some decent valve extenders. Okay, so I know when I'm beaten. I've spent probably about 3/4 of an hour trying to get in through the valve hole and pierce the inner tube. I've come up with various things to do that. Probably the one that seemed most hopeful was a piece of copper wire, cut it to a really sharp point. The good thing about that is you can sort of bend it over and get yourself a nice angle to get in quite straight, and it's going nowhere near the hole on the other side. So reluctantly, I think I need the air out of this tyre so I can take the tyre off. Reluctantly, I think the only thing I can do is puncture it from the outside. So I've got he says, let's hold it closer. I've got a needle, a sewing machine needle from my wife's sewing machine. I don't want to use anything too thick because I think a little fine puncture like this, you know, it's nothing. It's the sort of thing you could get if you were racing anyway. So this feels like sacrilege, but here we go. Ah, yes, right, so that has punctured. There we go, she's off. Right, that's half the battle won. So that right there is the reason you don't want to use these cheap valve extenders that come in the box with these Super Team wheels, because I thought it had come unscrewed. It's actually broken clean off, which amazes me, and that explains why I couldn't get the valve to deflate. Okay, so the location has changed, but the extender is out of the wheel. That took an age. Now, if this happens to you, if you find that you get something trapped in this deep carbon section, or at least if you find that you get a valve extender stuck in there, there's a very good video by Flow Bikes or Flow Wheels online, and that's FLO Wheels. I'll link the video in the description, where the guy talks about how to get this out of one of their wheels, because I guess as a wheel manufacturer they've seen this as an issue. And the key thing that I took away from that is what you want to do is, you can hear the thing rattling around in there. Find your valve hole. Okay, so there's the valve hole on mine, and then flip the wheel round and shake it like that so that your valve extender or whatever's trapped in the wheel falls to the bottom here. You want it directly opposite the valve hole, okay, ideally. Then the trick is to very gently rotate that wheel, and though it seems impossible, that valve extender will land actually into the rounded part of the carbon here, and then you can work on getting it out. Now, in their video he used a bent paper clip to go in through the valve hole and pull it out that way. I tried that and wasn't really successful, and one of the reasons for that is that I find that if you're bringing something into this valve hole here, the valve extender is generally sort of laying very close to that hole, or very flush to it. So it's really hard to get a piece of wire that is exactly the right shape that will go in there, slip over the valve extender and come in. What I did was I slipped the rim tape off. So let's see if you can see that. Okay, so there's no rim tape on this wheel. And that gives you two benefits. One, it allows you to get a light and shine it down through the valve holes, through the spoke holes, and see what's going on inside the wheel whilst you're working in there. Also, like I say, I think going in from there is too shallow. If you've got no rim tape on there, it says, let me just unfold this, you can get a really long piece of bent wire like that, and you can sort of roughly shape it using the profile of your wheel, and then you can slip that in through your spoke hole, and I found you've got a much better chance being able to see what's going on inside the wheel. So you've got no rim tape on here, so you've got several holes where you can see what's going on. And if you imagine you're slipping this in like that, you've got a much better chance of getting that into the end of your valve extender. So what I did was I basically got it to where I could see that was located, then turned the whole wheel like that so the valve extender slipped down the wire, and then I was able to pull the valve extender up towards the outer rim here through a spoke hole, not through the valve hole, through a spoke hole, and literally when I'd got probably about 2 or 3 mil of it out, wedged my fingernail in there so it couldn't move, and one handy tool that I keep is this little pair of forceps. I was able to grab the end of it and just pull it out. So thank God the wheel is saved. Now let me show you what had happened with the valve extender, and let this be a lesson for anyone thinking of buying a set of these wheels, about what to do with these standard valve extenders that come with them. I'm also going to submit this to Super Team themselves. I'm going to email them with what had happened here, because I bet if this has happened to me, it's happened to a lot of people. So when I took the tube out of the tyre, this is what I found. I was expecting to see the valve extender fully unscrewed. In fact, it wasn't. There are both halves of it. You can see that what's happened is that it's sheared cleanly around the end of the threaded section. So basically that had broken off. This explains why I couldn't actually get a tool down there to deflate the valve, because basically the Presta core is now protected by that little collar that's broken off of this. So there was no way into there. So these AliExpress valve extenders that come with the Super Team wheels, I would say, one, if you were thinking of buying a set of these cheap from eBay or AliExpress, just don't, based on my experience. But if you compare them with the Schwalbe ones, and I've still got these in the packet, but the Schwalbe ones actually screw into where the core has come out from. So these are already stronger at this point than this design here, which has a very thin wall into which you've then cut a thread. So you know, these are already stronger at that point anyway. They've got a nice shoulder that butts up against where the valve goes, or where the valve core goes. Plus also they've got a threaded end on them, which means you can add a lock nut to them if you want to. So obviously that lock nut is going to take up a bit of stress when you're trying to inflate and deflate these things. So these things to me are worth, they're about £10 for two of these. Just, if you've ordered a set of Super Team wheels, order yourself a set or two of these from Amazon or wherever whilst the wheels are on order, because you're going to have to wait 6 weeks for your wheels, so you might as well get these in advance. Order these and fit these as soon as you get your wheels. As soon as your wheels come, throw those straight in the bin. So there we go, all is right with the world again. The Greyhound is back on the wall with both wheels. She's whole again. More importantly, there's no valve extender rattling around in the back of this one here. And I've got some decent quality Schwalbe valve extenders on there. So, what a learning experience that was on my second try of the season, and my second B race. So the first race I did this year was the Hanningfield try. Went better than I thought I would, given that it was my first race in about 6 years. Had to pull out of Hadley. There's videos on both of those, and I'm going to make a video on the Dartford Triathlon I did at the weekend. And it's not going to be a race report, it's going to be about the positive you can take away when things go wrong. Because believe me, everything that could have gone wrong for me went wrong on that race. I got lost, I missed my turning going to the race and ended up on a closed road, closed because of the race, which then gives you a 10 to 15 minute detour to get to the race. So there's that. I then had the valve stroke wheel catastrophe in the car park, and found myself staring at a wheel that I, in my head, had written off and thought, I'm going to have to race on this. Then when I got out on the run, I discovered I'd forgotten my shades and my running hat on probably one of the hottest races of the year so far. Plus, halfway round the run, the tandoori chicken I'd had the night before decided to make a reappearance. And the one good bit of luck that I had on Sunday was that just as the gingerbread man reared his ugly head, there was a public convenience right there. I lost 4 minutes on the run, but I didn't lose my dignity, so there's that. Anyway, that's a video to come. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you've had a similar snafu to the one that I had here, I hope this has been of some use to you. And definitely, if you want the quick version, that Flow Wheels version, that's a lot shorter. But like I say, I do think there's value in the technique I used. If you can, slip the rim tape off and go in through a spoke hole, because you get that shallower angle. Use a piece of wire, not a paper clip. You know, those are all things that worked for me. Plus, importantly, if you've got that rim tape off, you've got a lot of holes to shine light through, and you get a much better view to try and poke something into the end of that. Oh, misses. Anyway, Thanks for watching this one, YouTube. I'll see you in the next.